Yo, what's going on there, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing well. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you are a subscriber, thanks for checking out the videos. This one's a little different than previous videos I've done. If you've been following my recent videos, you know that I have begun the thought process of considering what I may want my next car to be. And in the last 4 years, I guess it's about 5 years now, I've purchased 6 vehicles between my wife and I. I'm one of the rare birds out there who actually likes buying cars. I like the hunt. I like the negotiation. I like just the whole challenge of the whole thing, you know, and really working your best to get the deal that you want for the car that you want. I know not everybody's built that way, but hopefully my obsession will help you a little bit in terms of kind of getting down to the real essentials when it comes to using the internet to be able to buy the car that you want at the price that you want. So what I'm going to be doing here for the most part is looking at 2 major car search engines that I'm sure you're familiar with. One of them you certainly are very familiar with, but that's AutoTrader. I'm sure you see their commercials on. And another one is Car Gurus. And I tend to use AutoTrader mostly to look at new and used vehicles. Car Gurus, I tend just to look look for used vehicles. And I'm sure somebody could argue against me as to why I do that, but for me, I personally find that with Car Gurus, they have the most comprehensive listing of any of the search engines when it comes to used cars, and they also tend to be the most up-to-date. In other words, if a car was for sale on Friday, and it was sold yesterday and today is Sunday, when I go ahead and do the search Sunday night or Monday morning, it's going to show up as unlisted. This car has been sold, whereas it may sit on AutoTrader for another week or two. Anyway, that's just what my experience here has been. So what I'm going to do here is just walk through some of the things that I'm seeing. And if you've checked out my last, my last 3 videos that have dealt with looking at buying cars and, you know, what's the best time of the year to buy a car and what's the price trending been with the Challenger Hellcats in particular, because that's what I'm thinking about getting next for myself. You'll know that there's a lot going on in that world of the Challenger Hellcat with the introduction of the Demon and also the Hellcat wide body, and then also the overproduction of the Challenger Hellcats, particularly in the year 2016. We're seeing prices cascading downward, and it's pretty amazing what we are seeing here. So that's in particular when it comes to the used car market, but also when it comes to the new car market, where there are a lot of deals to be had here. And just going through this, as I do every day, I've been running across some things that I wanted to share with y'all because, you know, I realize most people aren't doing this every day like I do. I do this for fun, so take advantage of my little obsession here. So first thing I just want to show here is, you know, Car Gurus, you know, if you've never been on here, it's real easy to use. You don't have to create an account. You don't have to give them any personal information, though there are, of course, you know, the tracking cookies and all that other type of stuff. But basically, all you need to do is to put in the make and the model of the car that you want to find and the zip code from which you want to search. And what this will do here is you'll have a radius search here, and they give you options for as close as a 10-mile radius to your home to a nationwide meaning the continental United States, the lower 48. Or you can, you know, go other ranges here as well, depending on what your needs are and what your likely, you know, what your how willing you are to go out of state to buy a car, the car that you want. Before I get into this, I just want to make a quick note about that comment I just made about going out of state. If you have if there is a real specific car that you are looking for, you know, say a used car, particular model, particular set of options, maybe a certain set of wheels, factory wheels or factory interior, what have you, it can be real hard for you to find, especially if the car is rare. And you are really doing yourself a disservice if you limit your searching radius to just your immediate area, because chances are somebody around the country has got the car that you want, and you may be able to get it for the price that you want, if you are patient enough, of course. But the only way to know that is to just do a nationwide search and to keep your eye on these things as regularly as you can. Myself, I had the opportunity to buy a car I really, really wanted a few years ago. This was the 2011 Challenger SRT8 green with envy edition. And they didn't make a ton of those cars. They only made 800 something of those cars, those SRT8s. And I did not want to buy one. I bought it in 2014, and the car is obviously 2011, so it was by a matter of buying a used car. But most of the ones that I was seeing online were basically garage queens that had very, very low miles, and the cheapest price I was finding was like 40 grand, and I did not want to pay that. I wanted to pay something closer to 30. And it was only through being willing, only because I was willing to go 800 miles outside of my area, that I was able to actually get that car and to get it at the price that I wanted. That combined with some diligence and some patience, you know. So don't sell yourself short. Make sure that, you know, if you really want a car, you give yourself the opportunity to get it, and that involves a little bit of traveling. Well, you know, you can either have the car you want or you don't. You know, you make that decision if you want to sell yourself short that way. So anyway, let's get into it here. I'm doing... you know, when you put in your zip code here. I don't live in Washington, D.C., but I put in Washington, D.C. here just as sort of a central location that people were familiar with. And anyhow, I'm doing a nationwide search, so it doesn't really matter. In any case here, I'm doing a search for SRT Hellcat. And it says that, let's see here, okay, nationwide. Let's do a search and see how many listings there are that pop up. It shows here that there are 378 used Dodge Challengers that are listed here on Car Gurus. Okay, and if you take a look at AutoTrader, you'll see significantly more. You'll take a look here. You'll see almost 900 matches. And again, let's begin here just by looking at the Car Gurus page at some of the new deals, deals for newer cars that I'm seeing here, because some of them are really, really significant. And here we go, these two yellow ones I was just looking at earlier here. These are 2017s. As I'm making this video right now, it's the middle of January 2018. And so you're seeing a lot of incentives being rolled into the pricing of vehicles that are posted online here. And you typically see that anyhow. I mean, a dealership posts something online. Many of the dealerships are using these software systems that calculate what's the most competitive pricing for a particular vehicle in a particular geographic area. Long gone are the days of the salesman in the checkered suit, you know, puffing on a cigarette, you know, writing out what he thinks that the price of the car should be. That, of course, still happens, but these days they're much, much more fancy than that. But if you take a look here at this, you'll see you've got two Hellcats almost identical in appearance and in options. They're only $1,000 apart. But you'll see here they're listing MSRP at, say for this one here, at 67 and some change, which is actually pretty low price for MSRP for a new Hellcat. But they're advertising the price here at about $60,000. So you may take a look at that. Even though it is an expensive car, you'll look at it and you'll say, wow, that's amazing. How are they able to make that kind of a discount, right, of $7,500? Well, a few things to remember. Number one, when they post that price, they're including all of the incentives, okay? All of the incentives they're including. So, and most likely you don't qualify for all the incentives. So you'll, right out of the gate, that price is going to be a little higher than what is posted. Also, and they put this right here, even on AutoTrader and Car Gurus, they tell you that that posted price does not include the sales tax, the title, the license fee, the registration fee, the dealer documentary fee, the finance charges, the emission testing fees, and the compliance fees. They're all on top of that advertised price. And then also, in some cases, you may actually have residency restriction and qualifications. So, you know, that being said, at the end of the day here, you're really looking something that's much closer to MSRP than you would expect. But still, for an advertised price here, it is definitely appealing. It's going to get people who have the money to be able to buy a brand new Challenger Hellcat in the door. And that's what a dealership wants to do, right? They want to get you in the door. They want to negotiate with you. And they want to sell you the car. They want to sell you other packages on top of the car, whether it's, treatment for your clear coat, or whether it's gap insurance or what have you, okay? And nothing drives me more crazy, by the way, than spending like weeks working out the price of a car, maybe spending hours down to like figuring out what's the, that last $20 a month in car payment, haggling over that. And then they, you agree on a price, and then you go and you meet with some finance guy, and he's trying to, say, hey, well, for an extra $80, you can have gap insurance, for the month. And you're like, what have we been doing here, man? We've just been arguing. I almost walked out of the door 3 times, and now you're trying to tack this on top of the price for me. So I'm not going to spend any time talking about those types of additional packages. But what I will say is that you definitely want to do your homework with that type of stuff. So anyhow, there are, as I recall here, window sticker has not been yet. FCA has been having some issue here with having the window stickers posted, or AutoTrader, whomever. But anyhow, there are a lot of really good deals that can be had with new old stock that is sitting on the lots. And what I mean by new old stock is a car that's brand new, but it's not the current year. And I want to pull up a really good example for you, okay, guys? So back a year and a half ago, I had this back when I had my Green with Envy Challenger. I was curious about the new SRTs that had come out, and I really liked them, and I was curious just about what the how they looked and so forth. And so as you can see here, here's a little video I shot. I went to a dealership. This is a place called State Line, which is down in South Carolina, in Fort Mill, or technically it might be TKK, but anyhow, it's right across the border from Charlotte. And a beautiful car. I was really interested in the white SRTs, and I actually took this one for a test drive. It wasn't the one that I wanted. It was an automatic. It had black interior. I wasn't interested in that, but it generally was it was a beautiful car, right? So anyhow, and the window sticker price on that vehicle was $54,000, as I recall. Now, so that's the late summer of 2016, right? Right now, today is Martin Luther King Day, right? It's January 15th, 2018. And let me show you something here, guys. Here's State Line's website, and look at what they have on their website. The exact same car is still there, okay? This is the exact same car, 2016 $392. They've got the price there listed for $54,775, but I'll tell you what. If you go down there with a cashier's check, I would say for $10,000 less than that, if you go down there with a cashier's check for 45 grand and say, if you give me this thing 45 grand out the door, you got a deal, I guarantee you they'll take it. Okay, now I'm not represented whatsoever with State Line Dodge, so don't hang me up there. But they've been sitting, I know for a fact, they've been sitting on this car for a year and a half. And if you're a car dealership, if you're a new car dealer, it costs you money. It literally costs you money for each car that you have on the lot that you don't sell. So they're saying call for price. Yeah, they really want to move this thing, okay? So that being said, there are many deals like this around the country that you can find. You just have to be willing to do a little bit of homework to find them. And again, this wasn't a used car. It's a 2016, but it's still a brand new car. Okay, it's still a brand new car, and your warranty is going to become effective the day that you buy it, even though it's a 2016. All right, so the car's 2 years old, but it's still brand new. Great deal. You'll be able to get a great deal on that thing. Let me take a look here at some used cars, because there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on in the used market that I want to share with you guys. So first off, right out of the gate here, let's say that situation that I just showed you with that white Challenger is pretty rare. Most cars are not 2 years old, brand new stock sitting on the lot. So most of the time, if you want to get a really good deal on a car that's a couple years old, you're going to be buying used. And fortunately, with the downward pressure on Hellcat prices for used cars, there are a lot of options for those of us who are considering buying a Hellcat and buying a Hellcat used. So take a look here. Here's a 2016, another one. This here happens to be, this isn't an SRT 392 like the other one. This is an actual Hellcat just to make sure we're not talking about the same cars here. This is a 2016. It's got 3,000 miles on it. Their asking price for it is $53,000 or $54,000. Mind you, a sticker price on a new Hellcat right now, depending on where you are, is going to be somewhere typically around $70,000, right? Maybe a little bit under, like we saw with the yellow ones there, but typically a little bit over. In my area where I live here, I'm seeing new Hellcats going around 72, 73,000, you know, depending on what options they have and if it's automatic or stick or what have you. But there are a lot of really good deals here. Take a look at this thing. This is one of my favorites. I've been seeing this thing up here for a little while. Here we have a 2017. So this thing is, I mean, look at this thing. Green Go Hellcat, right? You got the brass monkey wheels. This is an automatic. Again, automatic costs a few $1,000s more than the standard transmission. Selling slowly. It's been on here for 84 days. All right, 84 days for this thing. 490 miles on this thing. It's not even broken in. Okay, so the advertised price here is $56,000 essentially. If you went in there knowing that this thing's been sitting there for 3 months and that the dealer in all likelihood wants to get rid of this thing, you know, you can go in there with a cashier's check or with a, you know, a commitment from your credit union or your bank for a loan saying, yeah, you know, it qualify you to buy this thing for 53 and see if you can get it for 53 out the door. That's what I would do, something like that, you know. The worst they can do is say no to you. Right, and again, it depends on the geography. If you're in a congested area that has got a lot, heavy population and a good number of car dealerships, there's a lot more local competition. If you're out in the sticks, now I don't know where Alexandria, Minnesota is, but if you're out in the sticks and it's 50 miles to the next Dodge dealership, you may not be able to negotiate as well as if you were in a more congested area, just because there's less competition. But so again, these are things that you do want to keep in mind as you are negotiating. But as you see here, there are a lot of good deals. Look at these 2017s going for mid-50s. Again, these things are being, they're typically being sold around 70 grand. Here we are getting under the 50s with 15,000 or 13,000 miles on it. One thing I really like about using these search engine sites too, guys, is that you can, really pick your if they're just particular years that you want to look at with a car. If you want to add different options, different colors, things like that. If you want to just look at things that are considered to be good deals or great deals, you can do that. You can also say how many days on the market. So if you want to see which ones are out there that you may have some more leverage with, you can just isolate those cars, which is good. And also pricing, and of course this is real important. And I'm finding there's a real, let me look at a couple of things here. We'll show you here around, say, 46,000. What's the range of used Challenger Hellcats going in that for under 46,000? And there actually are several. Look at this here. You have a 2015 going for 46. Okay, with only 14,000 miles on it. You've got several options here. 46 here. Look at this, 43.5. It's got 30,000 miles on it. And here's one thing that you can expect, guys. In fact, I say you can count on this. In the next year, or I wouldn't even say in the next year, by the end of this year, you're going to be able to find used Hellcats for under 40 grand. That's just reality, because the downward pressure on these things is very evident. You're going to be able to do that. Now, granted, that means that it's going to be a little older. You're probably talking about mainly the 2015s here, and cars that have higher mileage. So here, one in particular, here's a 2015. It's pretty high in the miles. It's got 54,000 miles. One thing I like about Car Gurus is that they tell you a pretty good amount. Give you a pretty good bit of information about the car, a bit more than AutoTrader does, I think. So here it tells you, of course, how many days it's been on the market. Look at this, 3 owners. Okay, 3 owners. That's a lot of owners for a car that's only 3 years old. And they also, say the title checks out. There's no accident check. Whenever you see that type of stuff, you know, Carfax and AutoCheck, I think is the other one, which is a paid service. You want to get the car checked out, you know, especially a car like a Hellcat, which likely has been abused. You know, someone's been doing burnouts and having some fun with it because that's what these cars were made for. You know, if you yourself aren't competent, you want to make sure that you go with somebody who can help check the car out with you, just to make sure that the thing hasn't been beaten to death or hasn't had like serious things replaced on it, or failed on it. You also want to, you know, pay really close attention. For example, I've seen some car, when it comes to the vehicle history, salvage titles. Okay, so maybe the car was in the vicinity where there was a flood. Doesn't mean the car was flooded out, but it does mean that somebody claimed that it was, you know, the victim of some type of flood damage. I've seen some cars. In fact, if you go on YouTube now, I think in my playlist on my YouTube, in my car list, I have there was a Green with Envy SRT8 that had a salvage title, but the car actually had not ever gotten wet. The owner had just claimed that, and they were selling the car. It had like 2,000 miles on it, and they were basically selling the car for like 25 grand. So some really happy soul out there got it. But you know, you're really kind of rolling the dice with that type of thing if you're going after a car with a salvage title. You really gotta, you know, in my opinion, I would not do it, you know, for me. And so this here is another option here. Speaking of this type of stuff, you could hide the vehicles that have stuff that you don't want to deal with. So any cars that have been in accidents, salvage history, lemon history, theft history, any car that was part of a rental fleet or a corporate fleet, you can eliminate those things as well. So you're just searching for the cars that you want. But again, you know, the thing I'm most interested in watching here is where is the pricing going. And you are seeing a lot of cars that are being listed now, especially the 2015s, in the mid to upper 40s. And that is good news for me, because it means that, you know, sometime later this year or next year, I'm going to have a number of options available to me, because I don't want to be spending, you know, in my mind, I have a certain limit that I want to pay for a car, and right now we're still a little too high. I know there's a good deal out there to be found, and it's just going to require me being real patient with it. Another thing here, let me just share one last thing with you guys. The sweet spot right now for getting a car, a Challenger Hellcat that is still relatively very new and low in miles and a good deal, is the $50,000 to $55,000 range. And so here's an example right here, a 2016, 5,000 miles for 50,000 bucks. Okay, so basically this car has got a third of the miles that you would put on in a typical year, and it's being sold for about $20,000 less than what a new Hellcat is. There was a deal I saw on here, and these are all very similar here. You'll see they're all either under 10,000 or right around 10,000, going for low to mid 50s, which is great. Look at this here, 2016, basically 51 grand, 2,500 miles, 1,200 miles for 55. You see a lot of these kinds of deals going on. AutoTrader, there's a couple of really amazing ones that I saw here. Let me see if I can find for you. Yeah, here we go. Look at this thing, guys. This is amazing. Here's a 2016. It's got 275 miles on it. 50 grand. Look at that. Okay. This thing here, and I just want to, it's this basically just, these are essentially, you know, this is a brand new car. Somebody bought the car and they enjoyed it. Maybe they made a mistake and they brought it right back, or who knows what happened to them. Maybe this was a dealership car. But in any case, man, the car is halfway to the breaking in period. Okay, it's 275 miles, and they're asking 50 grand for it. And what's nice about this too is this, you know, that's what the asking price is. That's the posted price. And being that this is a used car, it doesn't have incentives built into it. So this is kind of on that. This is what the asking price is. This is what they consider to be a fair price for the vehicle. If I went in there, I would definitely go in there ready to get the car for less than that. You know, I would be looking to try to get this thing for something closer to 47, 48,000. That would be aggressive, but I'd be pushing for it. That's the other thing, guys. When you go in and you negotiate, you know, you've got to go. It's one thing to go in and to be confident and to be a strong advocate for yourself and not want to be taken, you know, be taken advantage of or be ripped off. It's another thing to go in and be very unreasonable, because car dealerships don't want to deal with that. They prefer to, you know, they love selling cars to suckers for people who don't know any better. But they also, one thing they don't want to deal with, though, is somebody who wants to get everything and not pay for it. So you've just got to be real mindful of that. Here's the last one I want to show you here, guys. This is an amazing example. Look at this thing, 53.5. It's got 30 miles on it. And who knows what in the world was the story with this thing, but this is a brand new car. I mean, this thing was basically put on, I can't say it was test drives. I mean, somebody actually bought it. Somebody paid paperwork for it. Maybe they bought it and drove it home and they just had to bring it right back again. Who knows what happened? But that's a huge discount. This is a brand new car. And it's, as you can see here, real beautiful. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. I just wanted to show you all what I've been looking at and what my thought process has been as of late. So hit me up in the comment section if you want. Tell me about what you guys are seeing. This is not meant to be the definitive guide on buying a car or things to look for or on AutoTrader or Car Gurus, so please don't bother posting that crap. I don't really care about that. But I just wanted to share with you all what I'm experiencing here, and I'd be interested in hearing what you guys are seeing out there. So I'm going to keep looking, and who knows, in the course of months, we may be finding something that I'm going to get serious about. So thanks again for watching, guys. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Be well.